Hi guys, and welcome back. And this time for a review that's it's been a long time coming, and the only reason why I haven't done it was firstly because it's been talked about by everybody that all the reviewers that are worthwhile listening to. Let's put it that way. Um, and then secondly because I really wanted to give it its deserved time in terms of listening, especially because it was my first, let's put it, my first more expensive IEM above $500, and also because it was a tribrid, so I didn't want to jump the gun or say things which wouldn't make sense or say things that would perhaps offend some people. Although honestly, I really don't care. It's my opinion. So, and I'm talking, of course, of the SHOUER EJ07M. Okay, SHOUER EJ07M. In a nutshell, I just let me just go through the box here quickly. So here's the box. 4.4 pentacom, a 2-pin recessed connection, brings a cleaning tool as well, plenty tips. As you can see, I've actually tried some of them I've tried, and the ones that I've been mostly using have been these kind of black transparent ones, the medium sized. And then I tried the foams a few days ago, and I just left the foams on, which it also brings the foams. Here we go. And I let the foams on because I really enjoyed it. I really have to admit that I really enjoyed it. Yeah, they are. And that's basically it. I mean, box is a box. I guess for the price, it's half decent. Could have maybe brought a better quality cable. I'm using an NHS silver cable. As you can see, 2.5mm connection, also 2-pin. I got the black ones with the kind of carbon faceplate. I like them better than the silver. It brings a nice case as well. Metal alloy of some sort with a kind of like rubbery inside to protect the IEMs. Anyway, nice enough accessories. Oh, I did most of my testing and most of my listening. I've been doing it with the TK2. I love this thing. Absolutely love it. I mean, the more I get to use it, the more I get to listen to it, and I get used to its signature and everything. Love it. I used to be, and I still am, a very big fan of the Hifi Hip Deck and the excuse me, and the XD05 with the Burson op amps. I've got as well a DX3 Pro Plus, the new one, the topping. Love it as well. So in terms of amplification, let's put it that way, and deck, I don't think I'm badly served, or I don't think I'm connecting up any of the IMs that I test to equipment which doesn't enable them to perform to their optimal levels. Anyway, on to what we all want to know, which is basically what is the EJ07 about, and how does it compare. And in this comparison, I'm going to compare it to two of my other favorite IEMs, TANCHJIM Oxygen and the 7Hz Timeless. Before I start, I want to say that the fellow reviewer, in this case Michael Bruce, was the one that actually put me onto the Oxygen, because I'm a big single DD fan, and I have to thank him for that, because he undeniably introduced me to what I consider, until I am able to hear something really firstly that I can afford, but that can really surprise me. I think this is the best single DD IM out there, period. Point blank, no issues with that. It is the best. I don't think that stuff like the Orioles Isabellai, I don't think that, I really honestly don't think that the other ones that exist, which are the Moondrop as well, I don't think that there is anything in terms of single DDs, really high-end single DDs, that can really outright kill the Oxygen. That's my opinion. Like it, don't like it. That's just the way I look at it. It is a truly spectacular IM. The 7 hertz has been making some waves lately, and and it was also my first planar. I've since getting this, I've gotten a P1 Plus, completely different IEM planar IEM. I don't dislike it. I like it. The mids are spectacular in it. It's just a more, it's just so neutral that it can be sometimes boring. That's in a nutshell what I have to say about the P1. And the 7 hertz basically just complement it just fits me perfectly, and so it also quickly became one of my favorite IEMs. I was going to include the AudioSense DT600 because in terms of all BA sets, it's the best set that I've listened to so far out of all the ones that I've been able to access. I've got a few nice sets on the way, which I hope to be bringing to you guys as well soon. One of them well, two of them are the ST4 from GS Audio, and the other one is the GT12X, the new one, and maybe another third one is also on the way. So in terms of what I will be comparing the EJ07 with, I think these two are two worthy opponents. One at around $280, the other one around $220, and this anywhere between $520 to almost $600 is what the 07 costs. Construction is top notch. There's nothing really to be said there. The fit is an issue, and it was an issue slightly for me because it has a very short nozzle. Again, the same situation happened with the Oxygen. The only one I didn't have any issues with in terms of fit was the Timeless. So fit can be an issue, and besides the fit being an issue, another thing which is also very important is that you get a deep fit. So it's not just fit, but you have to get a deep fit to really do away with any possible resonances that might pop up. I mean, Michael Bruce, I remember listening to his review, and he mentioned that he was having quite a few issues with his 07, and it all has to do with depth. So depth of insertion is very important in order to be able to really get the best out of the 07M. Okay. How can I position them in terms of sound? And I think the best way is actually to talk about the other ones first, and then kind of fill in the gaps and or say where the EJ fits in. The O2. Okay, it's all about its tonality. It's all about its coherency. It's all about how the vocals are just unreal. Instruments, whatever instrument, it's perfect. Pianos, saxophones, everything is just, the O2 is tremendous in that aspect. The detail resolution also top notch. I mean, really nothing to say. The bass control, it's texture, it's quick. If anything, I would have liked to see a little bit more of sub bass, but I mean, honestly, there's really nothing that you can falter there. The highs, again, top, perfect. I mean, really nothing that I can point as being something which is going to be detrimental to its performance. And you must never forget, single DD, one driver. The Timeless is also a single driver. It's just one planar. The EJ07 is 3 drivers. It's got a 10mm dynamic driver. It's got 2 Sonion 2389 for the mids, and it's got 2 Sonion not electrostatics, electrets, which is different. An electrostatic requires a diaphragm to have an external voltage source to power the diaphragm, to energize the diaphragm. Let's put it that way. While an electret doesn't. It is already charged and then put in between two magnets, and then it then receives its signal, and so on and so forth. So it's slightly different, and sometimes people confuse that. And well, basically, I guess in most cases they're saying it's an electrostatic when it's actually an electret. Okay, which is kind of the same thing as well. with the ZEX and the NRA from CCA and from KZ. Okay. So going back to the Oxygen, it is really something else. I would almost say that in certain circumstances it's even got, in terms of detail retrieval, slightly more detailed retrieval than the 07M. Why? Because it's just got that little bit extra energy above 10K that gives it that little bit more air. So, you know, in certain cases, and mind you, one thing I want to get just perfectly clear out of the way straight away. This is not one is better than the other and the other is better than the no. This is a review about 3 amazing IMs, 3 IMs that I absolutely adore, that I think are undeniably references in their categories, and that you would go well with any one of them. Yes, there is ultimately one that stands out, and I'll reveal that at the end, but you know, it is not oh, this one is better and that's it and game over. No, there's a whole bunch of factors that must be taken into consideration. Okay. Stage on the O2 is good. However, it does lose for me to the Soundstage on the Timeless. The Timeless, the first time I listened to it, and the thing that immediately popped out is huge. It's huge. It's like I was inside of a coliseum, or it is just, and that also, in my opinion, is one of the things where, although the EJ07M has this kind of stage which is all around your head and it's very 3D and everything, honestly, there were instances where I actually thought, or I perceived the Timeless to be slightly ahead than the EJ07. Okay, there were instances where I found that. Imaging on the O2, amazing. I mean, like I said, it's a single DD that is really it's tremendous. I mean, there is very little that you can fault. As I mentioned, the micro details are amazing. In certain instances, I believe even that it's slightly better than the EJ07. And in a nutshell, that's basically it. I mean, we're talking about a really amazing IM that has no real faults. I mean, there isn't even any sibilance that I would mention. Nothing. It is just good. It is just perfect. Its only real issue is with tips and finding the one that works perfectly for you. And some people, foams are the best. In my case, I'm using CP145s. And once that is out of the way, then it's tremendous. On to the Timeless. It also has a kind of a harmony signature like the O2, and in a second I'll show you a graph. And again, I mean, the mids on the Timeless, amazing, really smooth, very easy to listen to. The mids on the O2 are slightly better. Yes, they are. Why? Because they just have this timbre and tonality which makes it just a little bit more cozy. But the mids on the Timeless are wow. The bass is clean, it's textured, it's fast. The bass in the Timeless, in my opinion, is everything that the bass, and I'm not saying bad about this, mind you, please note that. It's everything that the bass on the P1 is, and the P1 Plus isn't, this has. Okay, the P1 Plus, in my opinion, for it to be perfect for me, it needs a bit more bass. The quality is there, undeniably, and I'm not going to disagree with the people that say that they love the bass quantity and quality on the P1 Plus. I'm not going to disagree, but for me and my music library, I need a little bit more bass quantity, and this gives it to me. It has, well, it's not a power hungry IEM, the Timeless, which is good, so it doesn't really require a lot of power, although obviously if you do give it power, it comes alive. As I mentioned, in terms of Soundstage, it's better than the O2, especially in terms of the stage depth. You can feel more depth here than on the O2. Detail retrieval is excellent. Technicalities are excellent. I would consider the technicalities to be behind the technicalities of the O2 in certain instances as well. But overall, these two IMs are very, very equal. I mean, I know that's a bold statement, but they're very equal. This has undeniably the planar type of sound, and it's a type of sound that you either like or you don't like. And this has the typical DD sound that you also, again, you like or you don't like. But both of them are excellent examples of these technologies being implemented perfectly with a tuning execution that's been done to the dot. And as I say, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it as many times as needed, in terms of references for single DD, TANCHJIM Oxygen, undeniably the best. And for me, the 7 hertz as well, in terms of being a reference for a planar driver, it is a reference, and it is a reference because it's the fact that they were able to make something at this price that is so good. I mean, when you have people like Clinical, which is a respected reviewer and a respected member of this community, saying that this is a beast, then I don't think I have to reiterate that anymore. Love him or hate him, the reality is the man knows his stuff, and if he says it's good, then you should pay attention. This brings us to now the 07. As I said, the main issue with the 07 is its fit, and if you don't get the proper fit, then you're going to be plagued with all sorts of resonances and stuff that's just and once that is out of the way, then you are given a sound that is just it's just tremendous. It is a neutral kind of signature with a bass emphasis, and it's compared to its older brother, the 07. You can see that yes, they have given it a bit more bass energy, all the way up to around 500. There's a definite increase, and there's also more energy above 10k. The mids, so every between the 500 hertz area, between 500 and about 6-7k, it's about they are exactly the same. There's really nothing in it, and this brings me to what is, I think, or I believe is the main or what was the goal on the 07M, which was have tremendous mids. And in terms of mid-range performance, it is the best mid-range performance I've heard, period. I mean, I mentioned I love the mids on the O2, I love the mids on the Timeless. There was another IM which I reviewed recently, the ST1 from GS Audio, which uses a single Sonion 2354, I believe. The mids on that thing are just unreal, and also the DT200 from Audio Sense. Again, another IM with amazing mids, but the mids on the 07M are next level. And I think just based on the mids alone, it justifies its price. That's, in a nutshell, I think what makes the difference and what justifies that you actually jumping from something like this to that is the mids. Having said that, are they, I mean, like day and night difference? No, it's not day and night difference, but it justifies the price difference. It justifies the $200 plus dollar difference to the Oxygen, in that they just convey the sense of smoothness, of this constant smoothness, of this constant ease, of this timbre and this tonality, which is so correct, so perfect, that you just left speechless. I mean, you just like, oh my God, wow. That's how good the mids are. It's really something else. The vocals are to die for. I mean, really, there's not much. The instruments again, or I think honestly, if I'm gonna be fair now, I think the Oxygen has it beat in when it comes to instruments. Why? Because sometimes it just has that little extra zing that's needed for a specific instrument to just sound even that little bit extra real, genuine. I don't know if I'm conveying this properly, but I think the majority of you might understand what I'm trying to say. And I think that is also down to the fact that the energy above 10K is just that little bit extra, more or extra, or just that more above what the 07 offers. 07M, sorry, offers. And that also helps give instruments that little extra zing that I'm talking about. The bass on the 07M, perfect. It's got impact, it's got sub bass, it's got texture, it's clean, it hits hard. It's really something else. Treble. This is where we enter how can I put this? It's not that the treble is bad, or no, far from that. It's just a very unforced treble. It's very relaxed. It's super natural. It's super soft. And sometimes there are certain things where you just, or personally myself, I would just like to have had that little bit extra energy there to just give it that little bit extra fun factor. And I'm not okay. I could equalize it a little bit. I could give it an extra 1 or 2 or 3 dBs and be done with it. But I don't want to do that. I'm trying to do my reviews, as I've stated a few times before in the past, as they are out of the box. Only doing basically tip changes because of fit and cables. But forget the cables. It's basically the tips which are the make or break. And that's it. And sometimes I would have just liked it to be just that little bit extra energy on the treble. Having said that, the reality is this. Electrets, or the use of electrets or tribrids, is something which is still relatively new. And their implementation, it's a demanding driver to get correct, to marry correctly. And that's where SHOUER has done an amazing job, because you listen to the 07M, and in no sense do you feel that you are listening to 3 different types of drivers. Everything just seems to come out as one single driver, and it's that driver coherency that a single DD has going for it, and also a planar, obviously, that many times on a hybrid or a tribrid is the most difficult thing to get. So the marriage between where the bass driver starts rolling off and the mid-range driver comes in, how those match to each other, what is the sensitivity of one driver and the other, the impedance that one driver and the other has, how to match it in a way that then they just marry coherently and smoothly. Again, the same thing, the transition from the mids into the highs, how is that marriage done? And when you have drivers of such different technologies, dynamic drivers, BAs, electrets, with such varying amounts of different characteristics in terms of their impedances and so on and so forth, that matching must be done flawlessly. The same thing happens with home speakers. The reason why you see some home speakers having those different panels, when you look at the front panel of a speaker and you see the drivers placed at different you might see a tweeter more in front, a mid-range more behind, the bass driver more the reason for that is so that the marriage between the sound waves that is being created by each of the drivers is done in a way that when the sound hits you, it hits you as a wall, as one, as a single driver. That's where drivers, for example, or speakers like, for example, from Tannoy, which were very popular and are still popular today, are very good, because you have no time delay, or that time delay is very, very well controlled. And the same thing applies to when you're having a hybrid or a tribrid. The way you position your BAs inside affects on how early or late the sound will reach you, as opposed to the driver, the dynamic driver sound. And when you have and obviously the more drivers you have, the more complicated it gets, and it becomes important and increasingly more important that then your passive crossover is able then to accommodate for all of those time delays, for those coherency mismatches. And you know, this is where you see where something costs so much and something doesn't deserve to cost so much, is how well it's executed. And I guess that to a certain point then will justify the price of certain IMs. Having said that, there are quite a few also very expensive IMs that are absolute garbage that, I mean, I just don't understand, you know. So that's why many times I say, and I've said it before, you know, above, I used to say above $300, I'll say it now above $500, because really the $500 market now has become really, really good. But above $500, the law of diminishing returns is very present, and honestly, up to $200, $250 is where you actually get the bang for your buck. That's the reality. Above that law of diminishing returns starts coming into play, and once you reach that $500 bracket there, it's very prominent. So yes, I mean, just kind of giving a summary here on the EJ07M. Mids are absolutely top class. The best mids I've heard to date. Period. That's it. Bass and it's fine. It's perfect. The Soundstage, the three. Well, sorry. Let me go just by the frequency ranges and then I'll go into technicalities. Bass perfectly. Treble, it's fine. It's really good. I would have liked a little bit more energy, but it's really good. Technicalities. Soundstage, it's huge. It's all around your head. You know, sometimes I would say that perhaps the Soundstage on the Timeless is slightly above. Sorry about that. Like I said, Soundstage, in some instances, I found the 7 Hertz to have a bigger Soundstage even than the 07. Imaging, I mean, top class, nothing to be said about it. Detailed retrieval, excellent. I found, however, that in certain instances, both the Oxygen and the Timeless had slight advantages, basically down to the fact that they have more energy above the 10K area. But overall, I mean, the primary goal of the 7 Hertz, the 07M, which in my opinion was to have an IM that has tremendous mid-range, I think has been reached. It's done there. Here's the graph that I actually wanted to show you and I didn't show you. So the blue line is the EJ07, as you can see. So sub-bass focus, and then some mid-bass. It loses slightly in the mid-bass. Well, it doesn't lose. It's just slightly more tame in the mid-bass, between about 80 and about 300 hertz. Is slightly more tame than the 02 and the Timeless. Then the mids, if you look at the green line, which is the 02, and the blue line, which is the EJ07, if you notice, they basically follow each other. It's just that the 02 has a little bit extra energy. And then past 10K, the 07M, sorry, let me just repeat that. So if you notice the mids of the Oxygen, which is the green line, and the mids of the 07M are very similar, just the Oxygen has slightly more energy. And then above 10K, you then see that the Oxygen has that peak, which you hear it, you can feel that it's got that little extra air, and that's that little extra air that allows that to then give that zing that I talked about with some instruments, and allows as well some better detailed retrieval. Sorry, oops, got out of focus. What's wrong here? Come on, focus. There we go. Oops, again. As well, if you then see the red line, which is the red line, which is a timeless, follows a mostly perfect up to about 2K, the oxygen, and then it becomes all squiggly and up and down. I guess that's just down to the fact of being a plain out driver. But then it's above 10K that you really see that it has all that extra energy, and you notice it, but it's never aggressive, it's never sibilant, it's never too much. It's personally, I like it, I really like it, and it just gives that sense of air, of size that I'm talking about, which makes it sound bigger than the 07M at times. So in a nutshell, and as I said in the beginning, it's not a question of one being better than the other and so on and so forth. But if I have to give one overall winner in this comparison, it's the 07M. It's not by much. It's not by much. And I'm not taking price into account, because if I take price into account, and if I consider price as the main point to justify who's the winner, then I'd say the oxygen is the winner. Even though the timeless is cheaper than the oxygen has enough going for it to justify it being the winner. So price apart, if you take price out of the equation, the winner here is the EJ07M, and it's just down to its simply amazing mids, and then how well the other two extremes have been mated or married to those mids. The bass is flawless, nothing to point out there, and in terms of the treble, in my personal taste and my personal opinion, it's just a little bit extra energy that it would be required. Otherwise, perfect. Just to finish up, because it's been now a long review, in a recent review that Clinical did as well, comparing the $500 tribrid, sorry, he considered the variations to be actually the better options, and then the Oracle, and then the Excalibur, and then the EST112 and the EJ07M. I can't say that I agree or I disagree. What I can say is I have a variations on the way, and I will be comparing the variations with the EJ07M, and also, mind you, Michael Bruce also told me that I should get the variations, because it is really something else. And so once I have that, I will compare it and say and give my opinion. But as of now, and as my first real serious tribrid, I mean, the 07M is it's worth it. Seriously, if you want a really special IEM, and you like the type of sound that this puts out, and when you look at the graph, you can kind of identify whether you like that signature or not, 07M is definitely the one to go for. All right. Anyway, guys, sorry for this being such a long review, but I really wanted to do something that was worthwhile. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.